What is happening? Ladies and gentle people, we're here and we're about to enjoy some of the finer things of life, such as the Balance Patch 5.0 being released. Wow! Wow! All right, now we've gotten over all of that shenanigans. We can see here that after long deliberation with many additional members to the patch team, a final compromise has been reached. And this is obviously the most important part of this entire post that Ipit's made here. This patch is indeed a compromise. Nobody wants their own god to be nerfed. Nobody wants their main god to have weaknesses where they feel like they shouldn't. And therefore, when you have a balanced team made up of top players who play certain gods and certain play styles, they're going to have very differing opinions. And I think we should all very much appreciate that, given you were in the situation of being in the patch team, you also would have had to make compromises in order to make a patch that everybody in the team is happy with. And let's say you have an idea for a change. Maybe that idea is not so welcomed by someone with a different playstyle or a different main god, and therefore you have to come up with something different. So this is definitely the most important part of this document that we're about to read. So as that is the case, take every change with that in mind, and let's get into it. I think the most interesting thing here, I'm going to go ahead and close these down. The most interesting thing here is definitely the map changes, for sure. There's a lot of cool stuff happening here, so let's just go through it. A small reminder that all maps in this random map set, Painted Desert now too, still support additional observers without corrupting the recorded games. So if you are a part of the small minority of players who like to observe games and you don't want to ruin the recorded games, you can very easily observe games now, multiple people. So if there's 2 people in the observers, all you need to do is be the last in the lobby, and not be a team with the top players in the lobby. So if there's 2 teams, 1 and 2, you need to be the last in the lobby, team number 3 or whatever, and then you will be the observer. That is how it works. All maps in the patch now support the brand new, much improved observer commands as described here. So there's really cool stuff now available for the observers you have. Villager count is enabled in the resources when you look at the resources, so you can see how many villages each player has, which is definitely a cool feature. You can see real-time updates of the resources, which is cool. Obviously, you can still see the maps. There's automatic showing up of when people advance to the next age, so you're going to be able to see when people click advance through whatever god they pick, and it's going to tell you that, as well as a bunch of other things. So definitely check that one out if you're interested in those things. All maps in the random map set now support the merge mode as described in the link above, which is really cool. If you haven't played the merge mode, basically what it is two or more people can control one player in the game. So oftentimes you can get one player managing the economy, one player managing the army, and go about the game like that. It's really, really fun, and I do kind of hope that in the future we get some more games on this mode, because it can be it can result in some incredibly high level gameplay which we otherwise wouldn't see from a simple level, the skill ceiling that is in the game with only one player, which is quite cool. I will look at the chat. Do I think that a few top tier players regularly play low? Lower tier gods, meaning it's unlikely the lower tiers will ever catch up. No, I think most of the players who are really good at this game play all the gods. Definitely. Anyways, maps in 5.0 remain very similar to 4.0, but have received various improvements as mentioned below. Okay, so they fixed a large amount of cases where key resources like gold, hunt, or fish did not spawn properly, which is awesome. The less amount of map screws that happen, the better. Maps now always warn after loading if any important objectives such as settlements, gold, or sources of food have failed to spawn. Should rarely occur. starting hunt should now always spawn either in starting line of sight for all players or out of starting line of sight for all players. This is a great change. This makes it very fair. So if a god has better early game scouting than the opponent and they both start with hunt outside the line of sight, then they're going to be able to find that hunt earlier and have a small advantage, as opposed to currently or before where one player could get simply screwed at the start and not have their hunt, the other player could. So that's a great change. Starting gold should always spawn within tower line of sight, but may barely be in tower range. Okay, well, obviously they're trying to make it so that your gold mine has a tower near it. We'll see what this results in. Hopefully it's done well, because I do think that your starting gold mine should always have a tower near it, just on the fact that there's a lot of games that are just over because of super aggressive rushes with no way to defend against it. And while people say that's a part of the game, I say that that's just not fair. So we'll see if this is how that works. I'm not sure. Adjusted forward settlements to reduce the frequency of two settlements spawning very close to each other. Note that this does imply that settlements now spawn closer to the players. Okay, well, this is... I'm not sure about this one. This one seems like it may be promoting more boomy play, because if the settlements are closer to the home base, then that does promote that. But so long as the settlements don't spawn close to each other, that's a good thing, because when you have two settlements that are really close to each other, and as an Egyptian player in the game, then you start getting mercenary really deciding the game. And we don't like that. Anyways, Midgard should now always spawn the first group of 3 fish directly behind the player, seen from the center. Okay, well, this is the same thing for Mediterranean. I'm not the biggest fan of this, because it means we're going to see less Scardy docks, and then I'm not going to be able to laugh at people. But, you know, it's fine, I guess. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. All right, well, let's keep going. Frozen Waste now properly spawns gold mines in 1v1 and team games alike. I'm not sure what this means. I still hate how Frozen Waste only spawns gold mines on the outsides of the maps. I think that Frozen Waste should be able to spawn the gold mines everywhere on the map where there is land. Obviously not on the frozen part of Frozen Waste, but I still think that Frozen Waste is not a bad map. It's just the gold mines are bad in it. If you make the gold mine spawn like normally, then this map is going to be one of my favorite maps. But in its current iteration, I hate it. Painted Desert now properly spawns gold mines in 1v1, preventing cases where one player could end up with a majority of mines on their side. Yep, I've seen this happen, and that's good. Obviously, any of those fixes are great. The no patch maps prefixes changed. Previously were with the word classic. Now they are prefixed with ZID. Okay, fair enough. That just makes it a bit easier. Built random Bill Greg 20 maps have been old random 2017 party maps. Okay, nothing. And added a new random all ESO map, which, okay, whatever. Let's look at the more important things. Balance changes. Yay. Okay, so as we mentioned, take everything with a grain of salt. Quite clearly, final compromise. All right. Okay, so Zeus and Hades have had their third age hero cost change from 350 food to 200 food, 150 wood. So this is taken from the extended edition, I believe, and I don't know how much effect it's going to have for Zeus, because Zeus players heroic age, generally speaking, you want to skip simply because the mythic age is much more powerful. You go for 3 town centers in the classical age normally, so you're skipping the heroic age. But if Zeus players do get stuck in the heroic age, which does happen in some cases, this change will have some impact. Being able to actually buy Heracles is going to be cool, because normally 350 food is too much, given food is the slowest resource to gather, and by this stage you're normally on farms and you normally don't have the food to build him. All that being said, Heracles is probably one of the more weaker heroic age heroes, so still not addressing that. This just makes it a little bit more of a quality of life improvement for Zeus. Hades, on the other hand, definitely a nice touch-up for Hades, getting the Achilles for much cheaper. Hades definitely one of those gods that will happily stay in the heroic age, likes any sort of semi-fast heroics with Aphrodite, those sort of games where you go for timing pushes and you get the Achilles out straight away. 200 food is more than reasonable with 150 wood in those situations. So that's really cool for Hades. Not sure how much of an impact it'll have. I doubt it'll have much, but it's just a quality of life improvement, it looks like. All right, Egyptian. Hands of the Pharaoh becomes available in the Archaic Age instead of the Classical Age, undoing a previous nerf. So this Hands of the Pharaoh upgrade, mostly you're getting this to restore your Pharaoh's damage against villagers. So now Set is going to be able to get this upgrade. Also Ra are going to be able to get this upgrade in the Archaic Age and then push their Pharaoh forward to get Harass early. So this is going to bring back the Shifting Sands cheese that we saw in 3.0 quite a bit, right? So I think that Set, with just this change, comes back to almost gets the power back that they had in 3.0 where Set was reigning supreme. So this is a dangerous change. We'll have to wait and see exactly how it works. It does mean that, was it 75 gold? Basically means you're going to be delaying your town center by about 10 seconds because you have about 8 villages on gold. You get about 1 gold a second. The 75 gold is going to delay that town center. It also means that your temple's going to be preoccupied, but it's only 20 seconds. You're probably still going to be able to afford the extra priests if you want to go for the cheese and get this Hands of the Pharaoh upgrade. So I feel like this is going to be fine for Set. I think Set's going to be really strong. Let's keep going though, because there's still some other Egyptian changes, which is I think why the buff here for Egyptian has come in. So Egyptian mercenary cavalry hack armor has been reduced from 40% to 20%. That is a huge reduction in hack armor, and the PS armor reduced from 45% to 35%. So now it looks like the mercenary cavalry are almost in line with the raiding cavalry in terms of their armor. So someone can correct me if I'm wrong there. I don't think that people are going to notice this change. I think that this change here is like, how to explain what I think. I think this change is like a, yeah, we did something kind of change. That's what I think. I don't think this is going to, we'll see. We'll see, but I think this change here isn't gonna fix the problem. But we'll see. Ra, Skin of the Rhino, now no longer available in the temple. This is obviously a much needed change here for Ra. Ra players were unable to get raided in the early game because one, they have the free towers, and then two, their villagers could simply fight back against any sort of raid. So if you go into the opponent's base with Hersa to try and get some picks, or with raiding cavalry, or with Hippocon, they could just turn with their villagers, fight your units. The towers now start hitting the speedy units that are attacking, taking a lot of damage, not dealing a lot of damage. So now to get Skin of the Rhino, you basically have to sacrifice 2.5 villages in terms of training time. So Skin of the Rhino takes about 40 seconds to research or something. Add the Pharaoh Empowerment in there. It's looking about 35 seconds or something. So that's going to be good for the raiders in the early game. Probably still going to see this upgrade get grabbed a little bit later in the game anyways. I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think this is that much of a nerf, but it definitely helps out a little bit in the early game for some of those other gods. Tar Wadget's damage versus non-Atlantean villages now reduced by 25% instead of 50%. So this is a small buff to Set, and I would say this is I don't think this impacts Ra, because Ra would get the Wadget, and in like 3.0, Ra would get the Wadget and the Patsuchos into the rock, and then they would be able to one-hit villagers. So the Wadget would shoot 2 projectiles, the Patsuchos would shoot 1, and then a villager would die. So in 4.0, that would be, the Wadget almost did nothing, right? Because the Wadget would have to shoot 4 times with the Patsuchos hitting once, if that's correct. I could be wrong about that. Could be wrong. But now I don't think this helps Ra at all. I think the Patsuchos still will have to shoot twice in order to kill the villager. Unless, well, you have to micro it a little bit to get the max value out of there so you don't overkill. But I think this definitely helps out Set. So Set getting a lot of that early game power back. Anubis, Feet of the Jackal favor increased from 5 to 10. So this is a way to slow down the Anubite pressure against Norse. I think. Anubis definitely very oppressive against Odin, for example, because Odin doesn't have any real way to deal with the Anubites. You throw up walls, the Anubites jump over the walls if they can, and then they're in your base, and then it's terrifying. And Feet of the Jackal is really, really strong upgrade for those Anubites. I'm way too cheap in its current iteration, so 10 favor is going to hurt that just a little bit. I think Anubis is still going to be oppressive against Odin, but I guess we'll see. And yet again, another revert of the Egyptian power here. Blast Eclipse's damage bonus for minions increased from 37% to 50%. So this is basically vanilla power of the Titans. So 1.03 power to the Eclipse minions. So Ancestors Eclipse is back to the full power, which means we're going to be seeing a lot more Isis, I think. This is the big reason why we haven't been seeing Isis, is because the Ancestors Eclipse push just didn't give you enough oomph. And now it sort of looks like it does the damage. Decided to leave the medium archers and cavalry to Atlantean. Yeah. We'll get back to that. Okay. So yeah, Eclipse's damage. So basically, it looks as if what they tried to do was take the power away from the mercenary, which feel like not fun to play against, and give the power to the aggressive play styles for Egyptians, so that they can get an advantage and get their wins that way instead of getting their wins by playing very defensive. So they're trying to promote aggressive play, it looks like. Now, Hathor here rocks hack armor reduced from 30% to 10%. This is going to really help out Norse dealing with the rock with their throwing axemen. We'll have to see exactly how much bonus or how much benefit this gives throwing axemen against the rocks, but we'll see. And then the movement speed reduced from 4.5 to 4.0 is huge. I can't remember exactly what this movement speed of throwing axemen are, but I think it's around 4.0. Someone can tell me in the chat. So it should mean that rocks will be able to run away from throwing axemen, but the throwing axemen will get extra throws off. Like, for example, if the throwing axemen were underneath the rock and he starts running, the throwing axemen will throw the first axe, second axe, and then have to start chasing it. So you get an extra throw in there, I think. All right. Now here's a big help for Thor here. Dwarven Goldmine amount increase in the Archaic Age from 500 to 750, and Classical Age from 1000 to 1500. So what this means for Thor is that if they cast the Dwarven Mine in the Archaic Age, they won't have to build an ox cart for their gold in the Archaic Age. Whether this is enough of a benefit for Thor to ever have to ever use Dwarven Goldmine in the Archaic Age on not a water map still remains to be seen for me. I'm not exact. Someone has to do the calculations on exactly how many extra resources you get by not building the ox cart. You do get to advance about 8 seconds faster or something. So if the strategy for Thor revolves around getting, say, a second town center really fast, maybe the time that you get from casting that Archaic Age gold mine's going to help. Or if they're playing very aggressive or something like that, feel like they have to get up against like a Kronos. But I mean, even then you might want to hold it on to it, because the Classical Age is giving you an extra 500 gold. So this is huge. And I think that maybe Zeus is going to feel this the most. Because oftentimes what's going to happen is the Zeus player is going to see the exposed gold mine, go for an Athena rush. The Thor player is going to hold onto their gold mine, go onto that, and then get pushed off their gold mine by a restoration push, and then they're just going to head back to their base, cast the Dwarven Gold Mine, have 1500 gold to get to the heroic age, completely fine. Hit that heroic age, get Skadi, and then life's going to be tough for the Zeus players. Remains to be seen whether this is going to be enough of an assistance for Thor to deal with Zeus, but I definitely can see Thor players having a better time against the Athena rush, and maybe Zeus players are going to have to be a little bit more creative in the ways that they go about killing Thors. But we'll see. Odin Lone Wanderer's research time increased by 10 seconds. I don't think this is going to be felt in the slightest. Odin players will have one less Ulfsark out in the early game, but if this is the patch team trying to say, yes, Odin is strong against Uranus, this is also the patch team saying, yes, Odin is not that strong against Uranus, and it's almost like for those players who wanted Odin nerfs against Uranus, I don't think this is going to be felt. So I will remain to be seen. If Odin players still keep whining about Odin, then if Uranus players still keep whining about Odin, then maybe some more stuff has to be done. But I'm still in the camp of Uranus not necessarily weak against Odin, not necessarily strong. There's some maps that Odin are going to always win against Uranus, and there's some maps that Uranus are always going to win against Odin, and there's some maps that both gods are going to go fairly even against each other. So let's move on. Freya, Thundering Hooves food cost reduced from 300 to 250. Another Norse buff here. This one here is actually pretty good. 50 food in the early game is a lot. So this one's going to help out quite a bit for the Norse players getting the Thundering Hooves out. We're going to see this technology get grabbed a lot more than we usually do. And it's actually a really good technology. It gives an extra bonus to HP and an extra move speed, which can really, really help. Goes up to like 6.6 speed or something like that. So very good upgrade. And we do see people like Soup preferring to get Thundering Hooves over getting medium cavalry, for example, early if he can. So we'll probably see that playstyle get pushed a little bit further. We also got this upgrade here. Forseti, Troll's movement speed increased from 3.6 to 4.0, and track rating increased from 5.0 to 6.0. So this is a really, really big help for Forseti against Hathor. I don't think maybe they didn't think about this all that much, but Troll, they could not deal with a rock to save their life. Now it's, okay, I'm going to go get my second gold mine. I'm going to put my Troll on that gold mine. The rock's going to come in. It's going to get attacked immediately. It's going to take damage immediately. And the rock is going to get it's a real big help. So I feel like Norse players, if they continue to be whining about the rock in this stage, if they're going through Forseti, if they have the Troll, feel like it's going to be less of a thing. Not only that, given that they have the 4.0 speed now, it's almost worth it to build Trolls in the classical age to then like build an extra Troll to then deny the rock. And then the Troll is also fairly useful in your army as well, because it's not slowing your army down if you have Throwing Axemen, because they have the same speed. So big help to Forseti here. Loki players and Thor players are going to feel this help quite a bit. And also on top of this, if you are, again, another buff to Thor against Athena, this is going to be a really useful unit to be spamming to defend against the Athena rush if you get into those situations where you can't make it to the heroic age. So we'll see that help quite a bit, I think. And we've got Fire Siphons, maximum range reduced from 13 to 11. And the Engineers now increases Fire Siphons range by 4 instead of 2. So it looks like they're putting some early Mythic Age power from the Fire Siphon into Engineers. So Fire Siphon, I don't think this is going to be this nerf is going to be felt in the slightest. In the early game, the range is not going to help out at all. You should have units around your Fire Siphon to defend it, because you're Uranus in the early heroic age. I think this is I don't fully understand this change. I mean, maybe it's going to have some impact, maybe against Egyptians who are going to be able to get their mercenary earlier onto the Fire Siphon. But as we can see, mercenary have been nerfed slightly. And I feel like this is an interesting change, but I don't feel like it's going to be felt in the slightest. All right. Now, we've got Gaia here. Everybody won Gaia buffs. Why? Gaia's a tier 1 god, as we've been seeing. Heroes are now 30% cheaper, excluding favor. So Gaia's getting a little bit of help against myth units here. I feel like we've seen this change occur, and sometimes it's made Gaia oppressive against some of the gods that would have otherwise had a really good time against Gaia. But it remains to be seen if this is even a thing, or if it's just like, yeah, Gaia has a little bit easier time, but still going to lose against like gods like Loki. I'm ambivalent to this change. I think if Gaia players start getting really good with their Oceanus, with their Caladria against Loki players, they can heroize their heroes, and they can then heal them back up and try and not lose them, and they're going to be able to get some more value out of their Caladria and feel like they have a little bit of an easier time here. But I think they still lose to Flaming Weapons timing pushes, to Nidhogg's and the like, but we'll see. Gaia Lush's maximum radius increased by 25%, and Lush's decay rate increased by 25%. This is done to match the increased size, so it doesn't take longer to completely fade away. Now, I hate this change. I think the Gaia Lush is one of the more... I don't like the Lush mechanic at all. I think it's incredibly boring to play against. And if anything, I would have preferred to see like something else done to help out Gaia. If you're really worried about, if you really want help for Gaia, like I don't know, anything else, I don't care. But I don't think this is gonna do anything except for frustrate people. Anyways, let's continue. Hyperion. Chaos now always converts 3 human units instead of 4, and the recharge time is going up by 20 seconds. I don't think that Chaos has ever been... I mean, it's a whole human unit, so it's a big nerf. But I don't think that this is what made Chaos strong. I think I think that Hyperion is still going to be strong here. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. And the Satyr's population cost increase from 3 to 4 is fairly big as well, but I don't think that this is going to matter in terms of what Satyr are good at. Maybe it will. Maybe. Anyways, I think that that's all fine. It's a good patch. It's decent. I think it's going to really change the way the game's played. And I think that's what the patch should be doing. I think that we should be trying to breathe life into the game after a year of playing on 4.0 and having and playing that style of Age mythology. We get something new here. We get some buffs into some of the gods that aren't seen too much in Gaia, Thor. We see in Isis and Set as well. Haven't been seeing those much. And I think it's going to be really cool. So let's check out what this one is. Things that the patch got wrong. Heimdall. When Undermine was changed to affect all buildings, it was supposed to damage buildings to 50% HP at full effect. This went wrong for the Longhouse, resulting in Longhouses taking about 50% more damage than they should have. Now, Longhouses take the appropriate amount of damage, which is 50% of that. Okay, so that's just a nerf to Heimdall, but apparently it was intended, so no problems there. Balance-related bug fixes. Town centers under construction will now receive damage from earthquake and tornado. That's great. That's probably what it should do. Laborers now build wall medium pieces at the same speed as the other wall pieces. Previously a little bit slower. Whatever. Sea stakes no longer show up as idle military. Yay! Quality of life. Because you can't control sea snakes, so they're always going to be idle unless they're attacking. Slings of the Sun now properly increases the damage of slingers deal versus Hippaspis and throwing axemen and axemen, plus 30% extra damage. I mean, cool. Atlantean hero citizen now get their damage bonus versus set animals properly applied to their range attack instead of their melee attack. I thought that was already done. I swear that was already done. Anyways. Chaos and Lampade special attack no longer works on Pegasus and Hippocampus and Raven and Oracle Scout. Now works on Hades Shade, Serpent, Sea Snake, and Sentinel. Sentinels! No! That's actually kind of funny. All right, General. Transport ship can now carry caravans. That's funny. It's not going to, whatever. Shifting Sands. Visual indicator reduced from 12 to 10 range. The real range of the god powers is also 10. So this is done to match the... Okay, Locust Swarm now shows up on the mini-map. Is that just the lightning bolt thing? I mean, okay. Tornado will no longer show up for 60 seconds. Okay, that's cool. Can you show how the rain is fixed when you're ready? Was that in the map changes? I swear that was supposed to be fixed in the map changes, but it's not in the patch notes. Yeah. So you can. So I'm pretty sure Sentinels just have 0 move speed. So they're a human unit and have 0 move speed. So you can put them into like a siege tower, into a Heliopolis, into an underworld, and move them around. It was in the maps. It's just not in the changes. Well, I think as an aside, I think the rain bug fix was implemented. I think it was implemented. So, yeah. Actually, another aside, I'm pretty sure you can put Sentinel into a Manra. I could be wrong about that, though. Don't quote me on it. So, yeah. Hey, thanks for the host, Lumberg. Anyways, yeah, that's it for the balance. I'm pretty sure rain got fixed as well in this patch.